Hey you, yeah you who clicked on this video. Thanks for giving our channel a shot. And if you will, please do us the honor of watching the video all the way through. Appreciate it. Now onto the video.
Hello, fellow 8-Bit heroes. Today we'll be checking out from Season 2, Episode 6, Pas des Deux. Now, formally, this is a extremely important episode, so if you have not watched the episode, this will contain spoilers. This is a recap. So if you haven't seen the episode and you're sensitive to spoilers, get off this video, go watch the episode, and then come back so that we can discuss. Now, on to this recap. So we start out this episode with Boyd and Kenny's mom talking about Sarah, and Boyd is trying. He's trying to explain exactly why he's doing what he's doing, trying to explain to her and empathize with her situation because he's lost people too due to this really extreme circumstance that they find themselves in. And then, as he's really finally getting a groove, because he hasn't really been able to finish an entire thought, the entire conversation, then Kenny walks in. So as Kenny walks in, Boyd decides that he's going to leave so that things don't get uncomfortable. And we see Boyd returning to the church, but it's empty. And the only thing in the church is the music box. It's starting to play. And as it's playing, Boyd sees this ballerina in full, ballet getup, and she's dancing around him, and he's then involved in the dance, and we still don't know what's going on until he wakes up on the floor of the diner. It seems like he's passed out again. And Kenny and his mother help him to his feet, and they suggest that he goes to Christy. Of course, Boyd protests, but I mean, look at him. He's bleeding from the head. He's got to go and see the doc. So then we get to Ellis and Fatima, and they're gathering supplies from Colony House to take them away from Colony House. And we realize that after the storm and everything that has happened, they are low on supplies. And Donna tells them that they're more than likely going to have to ration what they do have until they can get a sustainable crop going. But even then, I mean, it doesn't look like they have enough food for the people that have survived what happened to Colony House and the new arrivals from the bus. So this is going to be a problem. Then we get to back to the clinic, and Christy is looking through Mary's things, and I guess she's looking for like a hair tie or something, and she finds a check-in or a welcome letter for a rehab facility that I'm guessing Mary was on her way to before she got caught in the town. And of course, this is upsetting to Christy because apparently they've had a problem with this in the past. So they have an argument about it. And Christy realizes that, for a junkie such as Mary, working in a medical facility is a treasure trove of, ways to get her fixed. So obviously she goes to the to where they keep the medicine, and she questions Mary, asks her, hey, have you taken anything? Now, I thought that Mary was gonna lie about this. I really did, but she did not. She actually tells Christy the truth that yes, she did take the morphine. And so we see that now we have another issue. Meanwhile, Kenny and Boyd talk about things changing. In particular, what I really want to focus on is that they said that the leaves are changing, which is apparently, according to Kenny and Boyd, has not happened before. And we know that Boyd has been there for quite a while now. And so the leaves have never changed color until now. So that is definitely strange. And I wonder what that really signifies going forward. So Boyd tells Kenny about the parasites. And then as he's trying to explain what's happening to him, he starts to hear the music from the music box again. He sees the music box on a stump. And as he goes toward the stump, here comes that damn ballerina again coming out of these cellar doors. And, Boyd is obviously seeing things because once he snaps out of it, we see that there's absolutely nothing there. So Kenny, he's very worried about Boyd. He's extremely concerned because he sees a lot of similarities between what had happened to his father with his dementia and what's happening with Boyd. But obviously, we know that this is far beyond a simple dementia. So then we get to Colony House, and the people at Colony House are preparing for the night because, obviously they need to get everything basically fortified for the monsters to come because, they don't want them getting through any windows or anything else. Not like that's never happened before. So then we go back to Boyd, who is now in the clinic telling Christy about the worms and what happened to him in the woods and how this was transferred to him, this condition was transferred to him via a blood connection. And, he makes Christy promise him that if things get too far, that Christy will take care of him, meaning kill him, obviously. So Christy and Kenny talk about Boyd, and Kenny really does believe that Boyd is going through some sort of early onset dementia as a result of his Parkinson's. Christy reassures him that that's a long ways off, if at all, for a sufferer of Parkinson's disease. But then Kenny is like, but that's still a possibility. Meanwhile, we see the Matthews family helping Donna ration the food. And Donna and Jim get into another argument about whether or not it's safer to keep the current food situation a secret from the people in Colony House, or whether or not they should be told what their exact predicament is currently. And Jim brings up a good point that if this is an experiment, this would be perfect conditions to basically increase the stress levels among the people that are in the town to basically see what they will do in what's already a mostly impossible situation. But it really brings up an interesting question to me. Why hasn't anybody really taken time to question where the food is coming from? Like, we know that the people of Colony House obviously had crops and things like that, but there's regular food every day that just pops up at the diner, and nobody really has taken enough time to really question why that is. But I guess when you're fighting monsters that can literally rip through metal and tear you up, in a matter of moments, I guess that might be the last thing on your mind. But whatever, right? So we see that Boyd starts hearing the music again when he wakes up from, I guess, taking a rest at the clinic, and he sees the ballerina behind a curtain. And when he goes for the curtain, there's obviously nothing there. Then he's startled by Mary, and he pulls his gun on her, but immediately apologizes and puts the gun down because obviously he's still going through it. So Ellis and Fatima are arguing about Boyd and not telling anyone about the Sarah situation. And more importantly, Fatima seems to be very upset with Ellis about his keeping Boyd's secret in regard to Sarah. But Ellis is a little more perceptive than that, and he realizes that something else is obviously bothering her. So as this happens, we see that they are interrupted by a argument going on downstairs. In particular, they're arguing because Dale and the survivors of the bus are having a dispute over food, and Dale is accusing Elgin of sneaking food. Dale seems to be very well aware of the current predicament that they're in as far as a food shortage, and so he's obviously on edge, and this lends credence to what Jim was talking about earlier about stress levels being artificially increased by whoever is running this theoretical experiment, if that is in fact what's going on. So in the midst of the argument and Ellis trying to calm everyone down, Dale stabs Ellis in the chest. And his reaction is just so, he didn't mean to do it and that it was an accident. And he's obviously very remorseful about it, but that is not important right now because it's dark. They're at Colony House and they need to get Ellis to the clinic somehow, some way. So we see that meanwhile at the clinic, Khatri has appeared before Boyd again and is basically talking to him about the decisions that he's made and how much he's changed. And during this conversation, Kenny walks in on Boyd talking to himself and really wants to know what's up, who's he talking to. Boyd finally tells him that he's talking to Khatri, which lends more credence to the idea that Boyd has lost his damn mind and Kenny is just not having it. So meanwhile at Colony House, Fatima is devising a plan to basically brave the monsters and get Ellis to the clinic by taking the truck, loading him into it, or taking the van, loading him into it, and driving all the way to the clinic despite the monsters. Elgin is obviously having problems not only breathing but moving around, and so they're definitely in a predicament. So Elgin, who is this very unlikely hero, but I'm really starting to like his character a lot more, he decides that he's gonna run out there, he's gonna get the truck even though the monsters are circling him, and he's going to save the day. And so he helps Fatima get Ellis into the van, and they roll out even though those monsters are circling, and you can hear them in the background. They're in hot pursuit of this van. What that means for them, I'm not really sure, because we've never really seen them run or really just get any speed on them. They mostly walk everywhere. So I love how this is shot, though. The tension is really high given the cinematography in this shot from inside the van. I really loved how this was shot, and it really just adds to the tension as the viewer. So chef's kiss to whoever thought that this was a good idea to shoot it this way. You really did a good job. So as they approach the clinic and get there all safe and sound, they bang on the door and Christy is able to get them in. And so she yells for Boyd and Kenny to help as she tries to identify what is going on with Elgin, where his airways are being blocked and how she can help. She performs emergency surgery on Elgin and he's able to breathe again. However, because of all the blood loss, she then tells them that he is going to need a blood transfusion. So once this occurs, they are basically like, hey, what's his blood type? Boyd and Ellis obviously have the same blood type according to Boyd. So they say, okay, well, let's strap you in, get a transfusion going. However, Boyd is like, no, I can't basically give this curse on to my son, and I'm not going to. So that instigates an argument, and what happens is interesting because Kenny pulls a gun straight up on Boyd and basically is like, sit down, you're gonna do this. I don't really care if you're crazy or not. And while this is happening, Boyd has another attack, and Mary is able to see the worms under Boyd's skin, and then everybody else is as well. So now they're more in line to believe him. So now they're stuck in a predicament because nobody wants Ellis to die. So what they end up doing is basically trying to figure out what they're going to do, and Boyd comes up with a solution. And his solution is to basically pass this curse on to one of the monsters. And so he bravely goes out there, baits the monsters in, and who do we see here? None other than good old Smiley. Anybody in the Frumley? We know Smiley very well. So Smiley is the main monster that comes up in addition to a bunch of other monsters that encircle Boyd, and Boyd cuts Smiley's neck, cuts his own hand, and then gives Smiley the parasites that are living in Boyd's body currently. And nothing seems to happen, and we are definitely afraid for Boyd at this moment. And Smiley says, I like this game. And as the monsters appear to descend on Boyd, Smiley starts convulsing and then he collapses on the ground. We don't know if Smiley's dead or not, but obviously he has got whatever Boyd gave him. And now that they perceive Boyd to be free and clear, the transfusion can take place. So after the transfusion, we see that Ellis is doing a lot better. And then, we zoom to Fatima, who seems to be relieved, but also very stressed out. And she reveals to Christy that she may be pregnant. So we have no idea how a pregnancy will be affected by the town. And as we go back to Colony House, we see Donna and Ethan rationing out the food. And Ethan then reveals to her that he is in fact scared. And, honestly, Donna tells him that she's also scared, but she gives him a lot of words of wisdom that she got as a child. So as we go back to the clinic, we see Boyd and Kenny looking over Smiley's body. And my theory on this is that there's only one of two ways that this ends. And that's basically this. Either A, Smiley is dead, in which case that's a gun that you can only use once, and they've used it on pretty much the most prominent of the monsters. Or B, now this is a big one, B is that they have in fact turned Smiley back to normal, but we won't know until the next episode or in their timeline in the morning. So tell me what you guys think. What do you think happened to Smiley? Do you think that they are in a large experiment as Jim has kind of floated around, or do you think that something else is going on? Let us know what you thought about this episode in the comment section below, and we'll see you on the next one. 8-Bit Heroes out. Peace.
If you'd like to get a shout out on the channel, then hit that like button, maybe share it with a couple of friends, and do us the biggest honor of all, and subscribe to the channel so you can join the 8-Bit Heroes family. And while you're at it, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when our new videos come out.